Invincible Nerds.
Welcome to Invincible Nerds. I'm Ethan.
I'm Francisco.
And we bring you another week of comic book reviews. Alright, we're going to start this episode with our Marvel reviews. We're going to start out with The Mighty Thor, issue number 7. And in this issue, we get a little bit of backstory on the Serpent, who was detailed in Fear itself.
Which would probably have been beneficial prior to Fear itself.
Yeah, it's a little weird that it came out now, but the story is written pretty well.
It's pretty good. I mean,
though
I could see this happening. It's definitely a story, obviously.
The dialogue's really nice. The artwork's fantastic, but it's kind of just an average issue in all honesty.
If they would have to put some more thought into it, and just put a little bit more thought into it, put up a little effort. If they would have kept that going for a while on The Mighty Thor, then it could have probably made Fear itself a little bit better. Not a whole lot, but I would have added a little bit something.
Yeah, a little bit more depth.
Something I want to say, ended pretty quickly. I mean, Call, or the Serpent, just kind of gives up his fight pretty fast.
Yeah,
he just sends off his worthy.
Yeah, as I said, very average issue. Would have been better if it came out earlier. Overall, this is a 6.
I give it a 6.5. Moving on to Annihilators, Earthfall. Limited series, but so far, very, very good. It doesn't have weight, some comics might, but probably I think Marvel's only a galactic kind of issue right now.
Yeah, the cosmic books are taking a little backseat at the moment. There's not a lot, and this is the only one.
Kind of after Thanos Imperative, which great read, pick it up. This is the only thing really sticking around, and I mean, the Annihilators are an awesome team, but I think it's not getting the recognition it deserves, even though it's a limited series. It gives me hope that it is a limited series, so there might be something after.
What'd you give it?
I would give it a solid 9.
Okay, now we're moving on to Daredevil, and this is a very great issue. Mark Waid is killing it right now, and what I like to point out is that Daredevil has been more of a dark, brooding character with a extreme moral compass that has been guiding him throughout the rest of the years. Very noir-style comic. But Mark Waid has changed this, for the better I might add, because it's kind of showing a new angle on the character. It's making a very fun read, and it's very amazing so far. If you're not reading it, I suggest picking it up. It is fantastic, and overall I'm going to give it a 9.5. And finally, for the Marvel, we are going to move on to Wolverine and the X-Men issue 1, which is taking over right after the fallout of Schism, where Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, and Beast have assembled another school for all the mutant-powered kids.
The Jean Grey Institute for Mutants.
Yes, that was awesome.
Pretty good. The school is pretty big, really futuristic, pretty awesome.
I mean, they literally have floating pavilions over the entire building. I
mean, and they have their own mood that's going on in the school. You know, it's first day. You get really sucked into it. You know, you think back to how you felt the first day of school. It kind of sets that mood, kind of pulls you in.
That was a really good analogy. I like
that. Yeah, you get to, like, everyone's kind of rushing around. Teachers don't even know what's going on. Paperwork everywhere. You know.
Yeah, and I do like the new angle of the human hate towards mutants. It feels somewhat similar, but it's a little different because it stemmed from a different turn of events, and it's kind of highlighted as the Board of Education reviews the new school, and it's very interesting to see Wolverine as a headmaster trying to deal with a bunch of school affiliated associates. Yeah. So it's very interesting, and I will say the artwork, though a little strange at first, really grows on you, and it actually kind of
Genesis, but here it picks up. You accept it, you kind of get into it.
It complements everything that's going on very well.
What do you want to say about Wolverine, though? You know, he has to be the headmaster. He has to be proper. You know, it can't be all Snick, let's go down. You know, but he tries the best he can. But I think,
and he seems to be really enjoying it, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like in those last 3-4 pages that the Wolverine comes out.
Yeah, great read, amazing first issue. I really enjoyed this one, and you seem to really enjoy this one. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a solid 10. Loved it.
10. Now we're moving on to our DC segment. Green Lantern, New Guardians. I picked it up just I mean, it's part of the New 52, why not? It turned out to be very promising. I was never a fan of Kyle Rayner, and wow. I'm not familiar with, who is this? I don't even know. Tony Bedard. Couldn't see it. I'm gonna be picking him up, seeing what he can do, because Green Lantern's New Guardian is blowing my mind right now. Kyle Rayner has never been more of a badass, and I don't want to spoil it, but holy titties, okay? What happens at the end of Green Lantern's New Guardians issue number 2 will blow your mind and leave you with the Maybe I'm giving it a little bit too much, but I'm giving this a 10.
Nice. I'll have to start picking that one. We're finally gonna move on to Batman the Dark Knight issue number 2, which is pretty okay at the moment.
Pretty good. I mean, issue number 2, we don't know much about the story, so far it's okay.
Yeah, it's a little vague. Most of the superpowered, essentially all of the Batman Rogues gallery is turning into giant meatheads. Like they're it seems like somewhat like they're being shot up with venom, but they are basically their fear is being like stripped from them.
It's a Titan formula that removes fear.
Yeah, it's very
weird.
Yeah, they don't. It's a little vague at the moment, so
it's kind of cool that all the B-list villains get to wear the big shoes for a while, however long that may last.
But overall, the story is really not hitting me quite yet. But it has me invested enough to where I would like to see where it goes, especially with the cliffhanger this week. The cliffhanger is very interesting, and I will say the art is phenomenal. The artwork is great in this.
David Finch.
He's tearing it up. But overall, Batman Dark Knight, I would say pick it up, check it out. It's very cool. It's kind of reminds me of a summer blockbuster. Though I will say one of the gripes I do have with this book is there are a couple of lines that are a little too uncharacteristic of characters, especially when Batman, and this made me cringe because of the way it was said, with Batman saying, "I do not fear anything, I do not fear pain, but maybe it's that I fear being alive," or somewhat along those lines.
I have a similar moment. Batwoman gets her own little one-liner. It doesn't hit. It feels like nothing, and to me, that was a waste of panel space. That could have very well gone to Nightwing, who's a badass. I don't think she deserved that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Batwoman, and we can talk about that later. You can ask me about it personally, but I kind of somewhat agree. But overall, check it out. Not bad. I'd give it probably like a 6.5.
I'd give it an 8.
Our final segment of the week, where we give you our top selections, and we're going to start things off with Aquaman issue number 2.
Aquaman issue number 1, pretty amazing. I mean,
yeah, amazing is kind of an understatement. Aquaman was viewed as he once said,
below sea level
superhero. Yes, and I mean he's been a laughing stock for the longest time, and now Aquaman he's A-list now. I mean he is bona fide badass. He is. I mean, not taking shit from anybody.
With someone like Jeff Johns backing him up.
Jeff Johns clearly has respect for the character, and he clearly loves Aquaman, and it really shows in the narrative. I mean, he's bringing up any kind of thing that's ever been thrown at Aquaman.
Past 50, 60 years of Aquaman, all this criticism, all this dislike, the stabs at him, all of them reflected in there. They acknowledge it, but you know what? They're just moving forward. It
actually incorporates it into Aquaman's life. I mean, where he's receiving like the full force of these insults and all the slander, and he's kind of dealing with it while also trying to figure out his place in, between the two worlds that he occupies. And it's really quite amazing. And in issue 2, these creatures from the trench kind of start arriving, and they're kind of feeding on these surface dwellers, and that's where Aquaman comes in. And Aquaman and his wife Mera.
They throw down.
Yeah,
Mera especially.
Yeah, Mera gets a really awesome moment to shine, showing some really fantastic water constructs. And I mean, whenever they throw down with the creatures, which are now nameless at the moment, full-on actions, really quite graphic. Aquaman is literally impaling creatures. Mera is tearing off jaws with her water constructs. I mean,
it's pretty sick.
I mean, it's some pretty
Aquaman, pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's some pretty brutal action, and I mean, just the way the dialogue flows. And the art is fantastic. Ivan
Something
Reis.
he's pointed out it to me. I didn't see this. For issue number 2, the cover. If you look in the reflection of these Trent monsters' eyes, you see the cover for Aquaman number 1. Very cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Very, very interesting. And I mean, the artwork is phenomenal.
It's really good. It's detailed. Very colorful. Just not one generic color for the water everywhere. It's really deep color.
It's very, very vivid, very detailed, and phenomenal is an understatement. It is great.
Definitely. I mean, usually it's good writing and okay art that makes you want to keep reading something. In this case, the writing is good. I love the writing, but I think in this case, just the imagery is making me want to read more. One drawback for this, it seemed to be pretty quick.
Yeah, it's
really quick.
Aquaman 2 is a real quick read. Definitely, it flies right by, and I wouldn't say it sucks, but it really makes you want to read issue 3. It makes that wait that much more difficult.
Which was kind of a bummer. I think it was like 4, maybe 3 weeks since Aquaman issue number 1.
Yeah, I mean,
time flies when you're having fun, but I mean, this was fast.
But I mean, this is just a minor gripe, mind you.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean,
it was amazing.
The writing is really selling this one for me. The artwork complements it completely. This is a fantastic read, and if you're not reading it, shame on you because
you're missing out on something great.
Aquaman is just all kinds of awesome. I'm going to give Aquaman a solid 10.
He's one of my favorite from New 52s. 10.
And now we're going to move on to Flash issue number 2, which is written and drawn by Francis Manapul. And I mean, Manapul first started doing Flash with Jeff Johns whenever Jeff Johns jumped back on before they did the whole Flashpoint thing. And it was a pretty okay story. But now that he's tackling it himself, it is quite good.
Pretty good. I mean, Flash, kind of a B-list move. Nah, I'd say it was B-list until recent years.
Yeah, I mean, he just recently moved up to like an A-lister superhero. And what I found really interesting about this particular issue was that, I mean, we all know the Flash is fast and he's a very noble character, but now we're actually seeing him evolve. I mean, Flash is able to not only move quickly, but he's able to think, analyze, and see everything instantaneously. His powers are evolving, and
he's definitely going to a new stage.
Yeah, the Flash as a character is evolving, and it's really quite something to watch.
So before his physical being, it taps into the Speed Force. Now it's his mind. Something I wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah,
really amazing.
It's really cool. I mean, you can really see that the writer slash penciler for this really has a good grip on a character and is really bent on trying to take him to a new direction, and it's really awesome.
It's really good. I mean, the artwork is great. For one, he's got to be able to adapt, move quicker, and he's not just thinking faster. He's taking in information at a rapid rate to where he can notice a million things almost at a single moment
and react to them at the same time. And the artwork really helps because it's very dynamic and it shows how fast he's thinking and moving. And
it's hard to display movement, especially with a character like Flash. It's hard to draw something moving, but it's doing a really good job.
Yeah, and really though the cliffhanger isn't quite what it was last week, I don't care. At this point, just because of what they've done with the character, that is all I need to keep reading. I'm going to give Flash number 2 9.5.
9.5.
And we're going to move on to the freaking spotlight of this week, which was
definitely the gem on the shelf this week.
Amazing Spider-Man and the conclusion to Spider Island.
Spider Island, as he put it, was what Fear Itself should have been.
Marvel should have put the spotlight more on Spider Island because Fear Itself was very lackluster and Spider Island is fantastic.
Even though Fear Itself didn't deserve the spotlight and nobody was really paying attention to it, Spider Island was kind of in its shadow of Fear Itself.
Which is unfortunate because...
It really is.
I mean, Dan Slott... Sorry. Edinburgh. Dan Slott has really been taking Spider-Man to new heights with his new take on Spider-Man. Spider-Man has been, making new suits. He's kind of has a new lease on how he's supposed to be approaching situations as a superhero. And Spider Island, which started out as a sort of fun and kind of
you know,
somewhat quirky Spider-Man event spawned into this world-threatening, chaotic, cataclysmic event, and Spider-Man is handling it. I mean, it is
incredible. He stepped up from somewhere of being part of the team, being led, to he's the one who's in control. No one knows how to deal with his villains. You know, they're his. Everyone has to listen to Spider-Man. Everyone pretty much. Spider-Man's the dude. If Spider-Man tells you to do something, you do it.
And what I found really great about this was that every team is in play. I mean, this event is so bad that the Avengers are trying to hold their own.
The X-Men.
The X-Men, the Future Foundation.
Lesser known heroes, like I think it was Starfire.
No, Starfire. That's DC, dude.
Yeah, sorry.
But I mean, some of the lesser known heroes. I mean, literally everyone is trying to contain this this kind of plague that's going around, and even an Omega level threat emerges out of the plague, and Spider-Man is the one that literally, I would say, alone saves the day.
Pretty much, the one-liners in this issue made me laugh.
Yeah, these are some legitimately funny one-liners.
Rarely you get one-liners in Spider-Man. You just go. No, at this point I was laughing.
Yeah, these are literally awesome. Laugh out loud one-liners. I was chuckling throughout the whole thing. The highlight of the issue is Spider-Man on the Empire State Building cracking a smile as he says, "I'm really doing this. I'm going to save everybody."
And really, this is what Spider-Man needed. I mean, he's gone through some shit. And, he wasn't doing that well. And Spider Island gave Peter Parker what he needed.
Spider Island, Dan Slott and Humberto Ramos, who did the penciling for this, fantastic team, and they really took Spider-Man to new heights with this. Spider Island was the pick of the week. It was an amazing event.
It was a fun read. I didn't want it to end.
It had everything: action, comedy, suspense,
the
drama.
Seriousness at the points are so good. And I think we all know what I mean when you're reading it and you get chills. When Spider-Man gets his moment and he knows he's gonna save everyone, it just carries on through the rest of this issue.
Yeah, I mean, if you hate Spider-Man, if you love Spider-Man, whatever, you need to read through Spider Island, because if you hate Spider-Man, you'll understand why Spider-Man is Marvel's greatest hero. And if you love Spider-Man, it's only going to make you smile that much more whenever you see Spider-Man get his moment to save the day. And
if you don't like Spider-Man, after you read this, get ready for some I Told You So's.
Yeah, because this is fantastic. And I mean, Spider Island, especially this issue, solid 10.
You know what? It's a 10, and I feel it deserves even more than that, but it was that great.
And that wraps up all of our comic reviews for the week. An Uncharted 3 review should be hitting you this weekend, and we will be back next week with more comic book reviews.
Let us know what you think. If there's something that we think that we should be reading, let us know.
And or if you want comments, questions, anything else, send us an email. We'll have the email at the bottom of this video. And that wraps up this week. I'm Ethan.
I'm Francisco.
And we are Invincible Nerds.